Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, like, just imagine, somebody pops up on Twitter. It's a new female's on Twitter, and all of a sudden she launches a new farm where you can deposit your coins and start earning APR. And you can take shitcoin number 69 and pair it with your Pulse, and then earn 300,000% APR. The impermanent loss might work in your favor, and what I mean by that is you're going to lose your Pulse, and you're going to get more of this random shitcoin that you're allowed to put in the farm. So like if you're doing it with like highly liquid coins that are not don't have a great reputation behind them, or like are more risky or whatever it is, chances are the impermanent loss is going to work out where people are selling the token, which means they're taking your pulse out of the liquidity pool and giving you more of the worthless token. And then if it gets rugged, then you're just left with a token that has no liquidity to it to sell into. So yeah, that's pretty much coins that you don't want to ever hold long term. Probably shouldn't be liquidity providing with them unless you know what you're doing and you have a strategy to go along with it, or you have a strong reason why. Works out in your favor if you're trying to move from one coin into the other and you just want the market to do it for you. So if you want to auto take profits and you don't want to think about it, just throw Pulse and Die in a pool, and then on the way up it'll take profits for you automatically, and all you have to do is remove it for you. So it'll DCA on the way out. You're not going to get as much price appreciation or returns as if you held liquid and sold it yourself, but you don't have to think about it. It does it automatically for you. And you'll earn a little bit of money on the way, 50% APR. A couple things that I've been talking about in the background with like my group and stuff is, and I've been thinking about these pools a lot, like the Pulse stablecoin pools, because generally the going advice is don't get into these pools. They're really bad. You're not going to get as much price appreciation, and that's true. It's definitely true. But I've been trying to think of situations where it might work. The risk profile of these pools works out in certain situations. And the first one that I like a lot is when you take profits in your altcoins, take it into these pools. So this is really, really powerful because oftentimes when you take profits in altcoins, you're kind of left with like, what do I take it into? A lot of the times you take in some other altcoin and you lose it anyway, so you lose your gains. Very, very common. Or you take it into Pulse, and then maybe the run is over and then Pulse goes down, so you lose out on the dollar value that you would have taken profits on anyways. Or you take it into stables, but if you take it into stables, you run the risk of things continuing to go up, like Pulse going up, and so then you've lost out on gains. So it's like if you choose any single potential action that you could take, there's some downside, and this pool kind of mitigates against all of them. So you get half Pulse, half Die, so you still get exposure to the Pulse price. You still lock in some stable coins, even though if the Pulse price goes down, you lose some of it, but you're always going to have some stables, and you're always going to maintain some of that dollar value, even if it's gone down a little bit, and you earn an income on the side. So it's like that perfect place to take altcoin profits from. Let's say you made $3 million in PDI or whatever, I don't know, and you take 200,000 of it and you want to take profits of it, and you put it into Die and Pulse. Well, now you have you put 100,000 stables in there. So if it goes down, you might only have 80,000, but you still have 80,000 stables of profit from the profit that you took in your altcoin, and it's earning you 50% APR right now, 49.4% APR. So you've turned the profits in you've taken profits from a high risk part of your portfolio into a medium risk asset that pays you. And so you can imagine over the course of a bull run, if you're playing these meme coin and altcoin games, which I recommend that people do, it is a skill that if you want to be a sophisticated crypto investor, you should have this skill and be able to do short-term plays. This is the place where you can accumulate the wealth and the profits that you make in those games that you play, so that you don't lose it in the future, but it also still provides you a benefit of price appreciation and passive income.
Very, very true. Liquidity providing is a complicated subject because for any of the astronomy nerds out there, it gets into the three-body problem, which is it's very easy to compute gravitational pull on two objects because they exert the same pull on each other, and you kind of just go in an elliptical orbit. Once you introduce a third object into this, then you get so many more variables and it gets different. You have cycles and whatever. And that's kind of the same thing with liquidity pools, which is that you have token 1, token 2, but the third body in this problem is the US dollar or whatever you compute that value as. So if you try to think of it in that way, it is that you're trying to balance the value of these two assets against the US dollar. So best case scenario, both your assets do fantastic. and you have them at a 50-50 split. They go up evenly. So the amount of liquidity you provided in the pool goes up evenly as well. You could theoretically cash out for fantastic X's at the top, almost as if you had not had them in the liquidity pools to begin with, and then you also collected the rewards. The issue with liquidity providing is that one of the assets will outperform the others. There's really no scenario in history where you've had two assets perform exactly the same and you get a good APR on it. So what happens is that one of your assets is going to outperform the other, which means that when you try to remove your liquidity out of the pool, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be stuck with less. You're going to be stuck with less of the valuable asset and more of the less valuable asset. So if one of your assets does 0 and goes nowhere from your initial entry price, but the other asset goes way up, it means you're going to get less of the good stuff, more of the weak stuff. But overall, you will technically be up a little bit, because if you imagine it as like a balance beam or a lever, the whole thing is kind of shifted up, but the average is in the center. So it's gone up a little bit, but not nearly as much as one side went up that you were hoping for. So for kind of the general rules of thumb out there, which is if people talk about this stuff, a lot of the advice and a lot of the recommendations you're going to get is don't put your entire bag inside of a liquidity pool. If anything, it should be a marginal portion where you're okay eating a little bit of that impermanent loss. But the point is that you are getting some sort of reward that you think is valuable for eating that impermanent loss. In the case of PulseChain, it's incentive token. And that's how you do that, which is that you value the incentive token along with all the others. And I personally believe that inside of the PulseChain ecosystem, all the coins will rise together to some degree. There's going to be winners that pump a little bit harder than all the others. But at the same time, overall, I think it's kind of a little bit of a blessing, which is that all the tokens are kind of tied together through all the liquidity providing through PulseX and the creation of incentive token through the pools, which is, it allows all the tokens to kind of run together. They can still pump independently for sure, like we saw with Hex over the last like 3-4 months. But overall, you got to be okay eating that impermanent loss, because that really is the heart and the core of liquidity providing, which is that you're willing to risk impermanent loss for the reward of whatever the reward token or the incentive is that they give you to lock up your money in the first place.
Yeah, it's almost in a way too, if you want to get rid of your bag, it's like LP. Like if you think price is going to go up and you want to get rid of the bag without selling and earn fees, you know, a lot of people do LP to do the silent selling, right? To do the, hey, just put in the pool, it'll go, I want the other side. But the three, and you all can treat me on this too, but there's like three different pieces that I think that are like these common, again, super basic explanations of how I think about it, at least. So I may want to provide LP if I think the price is going to be volatile over time and there'll be good volume up and down, collect the max amount of fees. I may also want to provide LP if to effectively, again, sell over time while collecting the fees if I think the price of the token will go up over time and I'm okay, like just giving, you know, whatever part of my bag that's LP in there. And then I don't want to provide LP or I want to pull it in such cases if I think the price is going to go way up and I want to hold more of that token. I want more of that side instead of getting like whatever the other pair is, whether it's another token or the stable or whatever it is over time. So it's kind of one of those, like the mental model of like those three things. It's usually going through my head when I'm thinking about doing LP, like what I think is going to happen. It's almost like, I don't know, that's kind of the annoying part of LP is there is that, I mean, it's not annoying, but it's that risk. It's almost like trading. It's like I am making a conscious trade here, but in an LP form of I think the risk is going to go this way or that way. Therefore, I'm going to place my bet out there and hope it works out. So anyways, any nuance or critique on that? I'm sure I'm trying to explain it in a super simple way, the way I think about it, at least.
Well said, sir.
I mean, this is actually things that I think about a lot when I look at all the different farms and the different pools in there. But essentially, with what you said, Max, that's what if you can find an LP pool where you can map out every potential scenario, and every potential scenario moves your portfolio in a positive direction in some kind of goal that you have. And this doesn't have to be like just price go up or crypto goes. This could be a lot of different things. Like producing an income is a big deal for maybe something in your real life. Like you can get very granular and very diverse with like extrapolating like how you can use your crypto bag to fuel other goals that you have outside of crypto.